Picture this, a single, unified moment, a precise instant when every single person on Earth, all 8 billion of us, enters a profound psychedelic state. What would actually happen to our world? We're going to explore everything from the immediate, catastrophic collapse of our society to the wild possibility of a new, unified consciousness. This isn't just a question about chaos, it's a question about consciousness itself. Could a shared trip, an idea that thinkers like Terence McKenna played with, fundamentally rewrite the human story? It makes you wonder if the reality we take for granted is as solid as we think, or if it's just one viewpoint among billions. The initial shockwave. Let's say the clock strikes noon, Greenwich Mean Time. At that exact moment, a standard dose of LSD enters the system of every man, woman, and child on the planet. For the first 20 to 30 minutes, nothing much happens. It's a silent, deceptive calm before a storm of altered perception. Then, the first wave hits. All across the globe, reality begins to fray at the edges. For billions of people, the effects would start as gradual but intensifying changes in mood and perception. Think about a commercial airline pilot over the Atlantic, a surgeon in the middle of a delicate operation, or a technician monitoring a nuclear reactor. Suddenly, their worlds begin to dissolve. Our critical infrastructure isn't just concrete and wires, it's run by people. People who are now entering one of the most potent psychedelic states known to science. The systems that support our entire world, power grids, water systems, communications, transportation, would crack almost instantly. Why? Because the people running them are no longer capable. An air traffic controller might watch their screens melt into waterfalls of light. A train operator could see the tracks ahead of them twist into impossible shapes. The global machine, which depends completely on sober, focused minds, would grind to a violent halt. This is, of course, a huge assumption, but the sheer scale of incapacitation makes a massive, immediate disruption seem unavoidable. The danger isn't just in what people see, but in how they might act. LSD can bring on powerful feelings of euphoria, a sense of being invincible. A window washer on the 80th floor might feel an overwhelming urge to simply float away. A driver could become so entranced by the symphony of colors they hear that they forget the road entirely. Accidents would be immediate, and they'd be everywhere. It would be a domino effect of disasters, triggered not by a force of nature, but by a storm inside the human mind. The peak, chaos and connection. A couple of hours in, the entire planet enters the peak of this collective trip. This is the most intense phase, where the full force of the experience takes hold. For the next several hours, 8 billion individual realities are profoundly altered, marked by vivid hallucinations, a warped sense of time, and completely new ways of thinking. The world would likely split into two extremes. On one side, unimaginable chaos. For many, this would be terrifying, a bad trip on a global scale. Paranoia, intense anxiety, and fear would grip millions. Anyone with a predisposition to mental health issues could be pushed into a full-blown psychosis. You'd have a planet of people unable to tell what's real and what's a hallucination, which would lead to unpredictable and often dangerous behavior. But on the other side, something else could be happening, something extraordinary. LSD is famous for dissolving boundaries, for creating a sense of deep, profound connection and empathy. As individual egos start to fade, the hard lines we draw between me and you might just blur. A person could look at their neighbor, once a total stranger, and suddenly see a fellow traveler on the same cosmic journey. This is where that speculative idea of a shared consciousness comes in. With billions feeling this at the same time, it's possible a sense of incredible unity could emerge. LSD was a cornerstone of the 1960s counterculture, a spark for movements that questioned authority and pushed for collective well-being. Now, imagine that impulse multiplied by 8 billion. People might start to spontaneously organize, not based on old power structures, but on a newfound feeling of shared humanity. In the middle of all the chaos, you could see these pockets of intense community and support. Strangers caring for one another, guided by an overwhelming sense of being connected. For many, the experience could be intensely beautiful, leading to emotional breakthroughs and a greater sense of peace. This journey into the hypothetical is just one of the big questions we love to explore. If you're enjoying this thought experiment, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next dive into the unknown. And we have to ask you, what if scenario should we tackle next? Let us know in the comments below. The Global Comedown. After about 6 to 12 hours, the most intense effects would begin to fade. The world would slowly start coming back to itself, but it wouldn't be the same one it left behind. The come-down phase would bring a crushing mental and physical fatigue. A collective exhaustion would settle over all of humanity. The immediate aftermath would be a scene of pure disarray. That infrastructural collapse from the first hour is now a stark reality. Power grids are dark, communication networks are silent, roads and railways are littered with abandoned vehicles. There would be no coordinated emergency response because every first responder, every world leader, every single technician was part of the event. The first challenge would be simple survival. People would need to find food, water, and shelter in a world where supply chains have completely vanished. This would be the ultimate test of those connections forged during the peak. Would that sense of unity and shared humanity last? Or would the harsh reality of survival cause old fears and divisions to creep back in? Psychologically, the world would be incredibly fragile. While many might feel an afterglow of joy, others could be dealing with the fallout from a terrifying trip, wrestling with anxiety and paranoia. A small percentage might even suffer from persistent, distressing flashbacks or other long-term psychological issues. For weeks, maybe months, society would be in a state of collective recovery, trying to process a shared memory that was both beautiful and traumatic. Conclusion, a new dawn. As the days turn into weeks and months, a new reality would begin to form from the ruins of the old one. Rebuilding our infrastructure would be a monumental task, something that would require immense cooperation. But the deepest change wouldn't be in the physical world, but in the human one. Humanity would now share a single, undeniable memory. Everyone, from every culture and walk of life, would have gone through this profound, boundary-dissolving experience together. This could speculatively lead to a lasting change in our values. Would materialism still have the same grip on us after billions of people experience the universe inside their own minds? Would nationalism and division seem as important after you felt a literal connection to every other person on the planet? The philosopher Terence McKenna talked about an archaic revival, a return to a more connected, nature-focused way of being, sparked by psychedelics. An event like this would be the ultimate catalyst for that idea. We might see a global renaissance in art, music, and philosophy as people try to express the inexpressible thing they all shared. Of course, this is all just speculation. The outcome could just as easily be a fractured world, struggling to overcome trauma and chaos. But the possibility remains that a single, shared, psychedelic journey could force humanity to shed its old skin. It would be the end of the world as we know it, for sure. But it might also be the beginning of a new, more conscious chapter. It leaves us with one final question. Would we emerge from the trip as a more enlightened species, or would we just be left to pick up the pieces of a shattered world?